My name is Sandra Hill Williams, and I've come to talk to you today about some leadership theories. The first one I would like to talk about is the contingency leadership theory, and this theory was described by Fred E. Fielder as a situational leadership theory. Also, even today, the idea, instead of using effective leadership, the behavior is contingent on the situation, is more prevalent today. The contingency approach to leadership is considerably more complex than either the traits or the behavioral approaches. According to the contingency theory, effective leadership depends upon the interaction of the leadership's personality traits or the leader's behavior. Essentially, the contingency approach is based on the proposition that effective leadership cannot be explained by any one factor, while at the same time, the contingency approach is to be considered the context of both of the situation in which the leader must lead and other factors. When we we'll discuss two contingency theories of leadership that have received a great deal of attention. I wanted to discuss Fred Fielder's contingency theory. He and his two associates spent time studying effectiveness of a leader in achieving high group performance. He also discussed what he called the least preferred co-worker, and he called this the LPC. And in this he said that the leader completing the LPC scale is asked to describe the person with whom they want to work with the least. With that being said, they have different samples on the scale that they use to score the person with, such as pleasant, friendly, rejecting, tense, distant, cold, supportive, or boring. And based upon the high needs, the low LPC leader has a different motivational structure to complete a task than one who people really want to work with. Hence, a high LP score indicates a relationship-motivated, employee-centered leadership whose interpersonal relationships needs have first priority. And a low LPC score indicates a task-motivated or production-centered leader whose task achievement needs have first priority. Also, he discussed situational favorableness, and Fielder set out to discover what type of leader is most effective. This was based on his premise of his contingency theory is that in some situations, high LPC, relationship-motivated leaders will be more effective when other circumstances make it more likely that the low PC, which is the task-motivated leaders, will be more effective. However, Fiedler concluded that the relationship between leadership styles and effectiveness depends on several factors in the situation. He identified three leading leader-member relationships: task, structure, and position and power. For example, the leader-member relations refers to the quality of the relationship between the leader and the group. As a matter of fact, even in the school districts, when you have a principal who has the respect of the group, the respect of the teachers, I find that there's a trusting relationship that is built, and that the leaders who lead up under a principal are a person that is trustworthy, who keeps their words, that they form a relational environment, and that more work gets done by the subordinates because they are promised a special favor or special rewards from the leader to get a good performance from all parties involved. There's also the task structure, which refers to the nature of the subordinate task, whether it's routine, structured, or complex. So in other words, if you have a task, you can give the teachers a task to do. They'll try to complete the task, but if it's based solely upon the task, such as devising a school improvement plan, once the teachers have input and understand what the task is, they can work towards performing those goals. And also there is leadership from a position of power, which refers to the extent to which the leader possesses the ability to influence the behavior of the subordinates through legitimate rewards and coercive powers. And that's just based upon the position of the person who's in charge. Next, I'd like to talk about the leadership continuum theory. And this was first done by Robert Tannenbaum and Warren Smits. And they both elaborated and identified earlier traits of behavioral studies. They conceived of a continuum that runs between boss-centered leadership at one extreme and subordinate-centered leadership. In this, he talked about leadership behaviors, about telling where the leader identifies the problem and considers alternative solutions. Selling, the leader makes a decision but tries to persuade the group members to accept it. Testing, where the leader identifies a problem and proposes a tentative solution. Consulting, the group members have a chance to influence the decision from the beginning. The leader presents a problem and relevant background information, and then he allows the group to consult. But the leader still is the one who makes the final decision. Joining, the leader participates in the discussion as a member and agrees in advance to carry out whatever the members decide. Influence on the leadership, Tannenbaum and Smith assert a wide range of factors determining whether superordinate-centered leadership, subordinate-centered leadership, or something in between is best. He also talks about the forces in the leader. How strongly does he feel the individual should have a share in making the decisions that affect them? How confident are the group members that the leader has trust and will allow them to make good decisions? Also, the leader has to consider his own inclinations, his own personal biases, and also his feelings of security in uncertain situations. The leader who releases control over to the decision-making process and relies on his workers, he has to be able to do that, and it's based upon his personality trait or what type of leader he is. Because there are lots of forces in group members. Members have relatively high needs for independence. If you have a group that they want to lead everything, then the leader has to take that into consideration. There are also forces in the situation where you might have a problem. Do the members have the knowledge or do they have the expertise to solve the type of problem that occurs? For example, in special ed, a lot of general ed teachers don't have the background to answer questions that are mandated by the law, especially when it deals to accommodations and modifications that their students are obligated to make due to their IEPs. A lot of times teachers want to give the students bad grades, but by law they're supposed to have those accommodations and modifications which should help them do well in school. And all of that is based upon the continuum theory. So basically the follower's preferred style for the leader is based on personality and behavior as with the leader. Generally, the more willing and able the followers are to participate, the more freedom of participation should be given and vice versa. I really agree with that. Although the leadership continuum model was very popular, it did not undergo research testing like the contingency leadership model. One major criticism of the model is that the three factors to consider when selecting a leadership style are very subjective. In other words, determining which style to use and when is not clear in the model. The situational leadership model and normative leadership model will be discussed later. There's also the path goal leadership theory model, and this was done by Robert House, and it's based on a motivation theory by theory of M.G. Evans and published in 1971. This is where the leader is supposed to use the appropriate leadership style, one of four, regarding or preferring traits and behavior to motivate employees to enhance their performance. This path goal leadership model was used to orientate approach to the situation, subordinate environment to maximize both performance and job satisfaction. And also the path leadership goal leadership theory is based on the motivation theory of goal setting and expectancy theory. The path goal model is also used to determine employees' objectives and to clearly clarify how to achieve them using one of the four leadership styles. It focuses on how leaders influence employees' perceptions. The House also uses authoritarianism, which is the degree to which employees defer to others and want to be told what to do and how to do it. 2, to the extent to which employees believe they control goal achievement, which is internal, or goal achievement controlled by others, which is external. Also, the ability to which the employees use to perform tasks is achieved. Environment, situational factors, and task force structures are present. Also, based on the leadership styles on the situational factors in the PathGo model, the leader can select the most appropriate leadership style by using the following general guidelines. The leader provides high structure. Directive leadership is appropriate when the followers want authority leadership and have external locus of control, and when the follower's ability is low. So if you have employees who really just don't have the expertise, this type of authoritarian leadership may be a good thing. Also, the leaders who are supportive leaders, when the followers do not want autocratic leadership and have internal locus of control, and they want more decision-making power. They're more achievement-orientated. That's when PathGo theory is really a good choice, because the employees can choose what path they'd like to follow in order to accomplish a task. And that's strictly based upon the situation, because supportive leadership is also appropriate when the environmental tasks are simple, formal authority is weak, and the work group does not provide job satisfaction. Participative leadership is where the leader includes employees' input into decision making, and the followers want to be involved and have internal locus of control. When the follower's ability is high, when the environmental task is complex, authority is either strong or weak, and job satisfaction from coworkers is extremely high. I also wanted to talk about the last one, which is the leader substitute theory. Leader substitutes theory, out of the 4 leadership theories presenting, assume that some leadership style will be effective in each situation. However, in keeping with the contingency theory, there are factors outside the leader's control that have a larger impact and outcome than do leadership actions. So with the leadership substitute theory, it's kind of flexible, because the substitute leadership variables within the contingency leadership framework are related to neutralizing leadership by providing task-orientated, direct, and or people-orientated support rather than a leader. The characteristics are the following: ability, knowledge, experience, training, need for independence, professional orientation, indifference towards organizations. So in other words, if someone wants to substitute leadership, they may ask a subordinate to do a task, and the organization may replace the need for a leader because the employees can actually lead themselves and do what they're supposed to do or what they've been challenged to do. That depends on what type of employees you have, because you have some who are followers, and each situation is different. So leadership style leaders can analyze their situation and better understand how these 3 characteristics substitute or neutralize their leadership style, and thus can provide the leadership and followership most appropriate for the situation. However, the leader's role is to provide the direction and support not already being provided by the task group or organization. So the leadership style, or the leader, will fill in the gap, but it's also depending upon the situation. And I am almost out of time. I really enjoyed learning about these 4 leadership theories: the situational leadership, the contingency leadership theory, the continuum leadership theory, the PathGo leadership theory model, and also the leader substitute model. In retrospect, all of them have a certain importance, but it also depends upon the organization and the organizational needs. Whether or not you have employees who want to lead themselves, or you have a strong leader who practices the continuum theory or the contingency theory or the path goal leadership theory, and even the substitute theory depends upon the organizational need and also the personality traits of the leader. And thank you, and I believe I'm done. Have a good day.